Rayner's anger mounts at hostile briefings amid Whitehall power struggle. We're going to read into this more from this exclusive from the Eye, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from iNews with the headline that Rayner's anger mounts at hostile briefing to meet Whitehall power struggle. The Eye understands that Angela Rayner has privately complained to her allies about negative briefings appeared in the media over her role in government. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So Angela Rayner is the Deputy Prime Minister and also the Housing Minister. And so you would think that she would have a lot more power and influence. And I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she still does. But this headline, and especially when we read into it, will also play into the mindsets of people who generally think that Angela Rayner is like going to do some kind of hostile takeover and, you know, knock Keir Starmer out and become the new leader somehow. And I'm just like, I don't know about that. You know, I understand there's a lot of negativity around Keir Starmer. At the moment, polls are very negative about him, especially over the winter fuel payments. The stories about the gifts and donations. You can claim all you want about that it's not as bad as the Conservatives. It's still a bad public image for him. And remember that the vast majority of a lot of people simply voted Labour because they were tired of the Conservatives. So it wasn't the case that people voted Labour because they like Labour. That's very, very clear. We have to make that very, very clear back at the general election as well. But Angela Rayner is obviously, while she is while she is Deputy Prime Minister, while she is in the cabinet, she's not someone that has the backgrounds of some of those around her. She definitely is not. She is definitely someone who knows what it's like to be on the impoverished side, who's had those struggles. Now, but she has very much. She is not at any point have I ever heard her indicate any anger or frustration towards Keir Starmer and her directly at him. Directly at the Prime Minister and how he managed things, even during opposition. The impression that I get is that from every conversation whenever she does interviews and what I hear, is that she's very, very loyal. And now, that you could disagree, and maybe some of you guys see an indifference on that, and that's totally fine. I wouldn't take the right-wing news press about Angela Rayner seriously. They're just looking like taking swipe shots and whatnot at her. But is there a case that perhaps she doesn't have as much influence as others? I am conscious of this story. I'm a bit conscious of this, but she does get more negativity in the media than I think than even Keir Starmer because of her background, because of what she's gone through, because she's not like somebody who went to Cambridge or Eton and had all the privilege, sort of that kind of lifestyle. She would have been treated indifferently, but because she's not one of them, shall we say. So there is that indifference between her and a lot of people within that cabinet in Labour. I don't know if there's really a hostility behind closed doors there. To be fair, there's always going to be difficult conversations behind closed doors. Would it go so far to say that there's literally is it really hostile? I don't know if that term is the right term to use. Now they've said they've spoken to people within, their sources at the Eye, so it's entirely possible. But is it as far as that? We're grasping at interpretations here, and this isn't exclusive from them. So, as I did actually check, I haven't seen a story like this similar to this, from the Daily Mail, which we don't cover because they're trash media anyway. I haven't seen this from the Times or the Telegraph, as far as I'm aware at the time of this recording. It's possible they may bring up one similar. But It's only exclusive from I that they're saying that this is happening. So I will say, do take this with a pinch of salt, but I would say that it's perfectly normal in any governments to have ministers have disagreements and whatnot with each other. I think that's perfectly normal. In fact, I'll go as far to say it's perfectly natural, because you don't want a cabinet and ministers and people around you that are all yes people, because you won't actually get proper things done. If you have people that disagree with you, you actually get more things. It's actually beneficial to have people that disagree with you on things. And I think, and I generally believe that Angela Rayner, I don't think she's a deceitful person. Maybe some of you might disagree. I actually think that if she's going to say something about Keir Starmer, or say something that she disagrees with what the Prime Minister's doing, she's going to say it to his face. She's not going to go beat around the bush and go and moan about it on social media or with the radio or whatever. I think she will be upfront, because I think that's the kind of person that she is. But you can make your own judgments on that, you guys. So let's read into this. So Angela Rayner has complained privately about hostile briefings about her position in the government, the Eye understands. So the Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Housing, Communities and Loyal Government Secretary, there we go, not Housing Minister, my apologies, has voiced frustration about negative briefings appearing in the press, which she sees as a distraction from the work of government. Within days of Labour's landslide general election victory in July, claims appeared in the media that she was being frozen out of decision-making on issues which she had previously led on. Yeah, there was a change on one or two things. That is true. Anonymous sources said she had lost control of Labour's employee rights package to the Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds, and planning reforms to Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Yeah. I mean, literally, like, it's funny actually. It's funny that he says that, actually, because I gave a lot of praise to Jonathan Reynolds' speech at the Labour conference. So that's quite interesting, that one there. Last week, news that use of the grace-and-favour mission of Dorneywood has been given to Reeves was accompanied by suggestions that this was further evidence Rayner was being marginalised. The Eye understands that Rayner has privately complained to her allies about such stories, regarding them as unhelpful distractions. That frustration spilled into public during an interview with LBC on Tuesday. I've heard stories that I've been passed over for Dorneywood and all this sort of rubbish, she said. I don't care about a mission. I don't care about looking at the British public who have entrusted me from my background to get where I am. In the interview, Rayner also defended Downing Street Chief of Staff Sue Gray, who had been another subject of negative briefings. Sue Gray is another working class kid that worked her way through the ranks, and I wouldn't underestimate her. She's very formidable, he said. There's been a lot of clashes with her and some other people. There's been a lot of reporting from media that there is pressure there between her and some others. I think it's a bit of power grabbing around Keir Starmer's inner circle there. There has been that going on as well. And during the interview, Rayner was asked whether criticism of Gray came from entitled men who are miffed at her power. In words that appeared equally aimed at her own critics, the Deputy Prime Minister said, "I've met a few entitled men in my time. What I would say to anyone who does that to Sue Gray is underestimate her at your peril." A White House source said that the negative briefings were not believed to come from cabinet, but from advisors' levels. It's the machine in operation that was in Labour and now in government where there's infighting, they said. It all seems to be coming a level down from the actual elected politicians. At a political level, that's actually quite harmonious. That view was supported by two cabinet ministers who dismissed the notion that Rayner was being marginalised. One of the ministers told the Eye she definitely gets more flack than she deserves. Angela's brilliant, she's offering underestimated, she's a good communicator, she connects with people. Contrary to claims that Rayner and Reynolds were at loggerheads, the minister said that the two politicians had really worked closely together on the employment right package. The idea that Angela is not making things happen or effective, I think it's for the birds, really, they said. Yeah, I don't know about that. There was a lot of things that Reynolds said in his speech that really atoned to the things that Angela Rayner has said about housing. So there was definitely and workers' rights and that. There was a lot of that similarities there. So yeah. So I'm not 100% sure about the loggerheads thing, but it's we have to stress what it is. It is speculation. Rayner's allies point to the fact that her Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government As with the Department of Transport and joint high number of bills are being worked upon, as well as continuously responsibility for the strategic vital area of planning. Dorneywood, meanwhile, has not been occupied by a Deputy Prime Minister for nearly 20 years, with John Prescott relinquishing the country's house in 2006 after controversy about his use of the property. A White House source said that Rayner was a victim of wider disciplined affiliated Labour as it adjusts to being back in power. People are doing stuff and briefing stuff and drawing other people into it, they said. Sources across government, Whitehall and the Labour Party said they believed speculation about Rayner's position was being amplified by a mixture of structural factors and personal indifferences. She is targeted. We do have to stress again, she is targeted more than any other the media. I've said this before. She is getting targeted a lot more. She is the one who's targeted more by anyone from medias and that. Rayner is a member of the quad of senior figures, along with Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, and the Chancellor, Duchess of Lancaster, Pat McFadden, which was instructed by Grey to lead the work of government. However, one government source said that the quad concept was BS because Rayner did not have the same installation machinery at her disposal as the other three. They argued that with number 10 calling the shots, the Treasury hold the purse strings and the Cabinet Office connecting with the government altogether. If a big future occupies the latter, as is the case with McFadden, these would inevitably be three principal centres of power within Whitehall. But the sources still thought that Rayner was the most powerful Deputy Prime Minister since Nick Clegg, thanks to her mandate from Labour members, who voted her into the position in 2020, and her power base in the union movement. A Downing Street source, meanwhile, said it was unsurprising that some areas of policy had become more siloed within departments now that Labour are in government, meaning that Rayner has, for example, had to share decision-making with Reynolds on the workers' right package. Rayner chairs the cross-cabinet committee for Labour's plans to make work pay, but the employment legislation is administered through the Department of Business and Trade because that is where Labour's market team sits within the civil service. The Whitehall source says that as Deputy Prime Minister, there was added complications that the status of the role is less firmly established than some other cabinet positions. It was kept vacant from 2007 to 2010 and again from 2015 to 2021. The source says, what is the role there? It's a little bit of an ill-defined thing. What a Deputy Prime Minister is, there hasn't always been one. They also thought personally it had a role to play in the narrative surrounding Starmer and Rayner's relationship. Obviously, Starmer and Rayner are very different people, they said. The source said that while the two were not necessarily absolutely harmony on every issue, they did not think that there were any significant tensions. They said people look at it and try to make something of it because you look at Angela and you see Starmer and you think, well, how could they possibly get on? How could they work? Some people also believe that the commentary reflects a Westminster bubble which has become addicted to psychodrama after the turmoil of recent years. A Labour source who claimed reports of division within the government were overplayed and said that the narrative is all very House of Cards. If you don't get the House of Cards reference, I suggest you check out the series of House of Cards, the TV series of American politics that was main actor Kevin Spacey, if you want to know what that is. Yeah, I think, the last bit there where it said there about psychodrama and turmoil over recent years of what's been happening with the Conservatives, people have been so used to that. People have been so used to that. The media has been so used to that. It has been great. It's been great for the media, the Conservatives, over the last several years. Like, for the media, it's been great for them because they've always had scandals. They've always had things to talk about non-stop about the government. It's been great publicity for media out there, for them. But for the general public, it's been an absolute nightmare because rather than them getting on with their jobs, they've been too busy squabbling, infighting, sort of comments and words that have been said by Conservatives in cabinet and ministers and MPs have been nothing short of outrageous and disgusting. It's just been absolute folly. With Labour, there's been very, very quiet. It's nowhere near the same levels as the Conservatives. There's a lot more constraint, and they're trying to bring things back to normal. And the problem is the media doesn't want that. The media wants drama. The media wants tension. The media wants breakups and hissy fits and whatnot. So there is definitely a lot of stirring from the mainstream media as well. It's not just there may be there is definitely disagreements in Labour government. Absolutely no question about that. You're going to have disagreements and whatnot. I don't think anyone's arguing that. But to say that it's on the level or the drama is on the level of what we've had before, I think is nonsense. And it is just very much a case that they could just try to be building up more than they should be really there as well. But what do you guys honestly think about this story? What do you guys think about the possibility that maybe Angela Rayner doesn't have as much power and influence as maybe she does? What do you guys think that from this story, from the exclusive from I am a bit skeptical about it, while at the same time, excuse me, I do feel that there may be something to this. Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.